We will call the meeting of the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors special call meeting Monday, April 9th, 2018, 7 p.m. Pittsylvania County Educational and Cultural Center Auditorium to order, 39 Bank Street, Chatham, Virginia, 24531. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barber.
Here.
Mr. Blackstock.
Present.
Mr. Davis.
Present.
Mr. Farmer.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Present.
Mr. Scares.
Here.
Mr. Warren.
Here. Can I get an approval of the agenda? Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Blackstock, seconded by Dr. Miller. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Public hearing, item 4, proposed real estate property tax increase. Public hearing statement. The Board of Supervisors encourage the citizens to voice their concerns during the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting, which is very important to the board members. However, it is not a question and answer session. Speakers will be called in the order in which they have signed up. Anyone wishing to speak will be allowed 3 minutes. When the amber light comes on, the speaker has approximately 1 minute left to finish their topic. First on the agenda to speak is Charles Turner.
My name is Charles Turner. I'm a taxpayer in Pittsylvania County, and it appears to me that the County Board of Supervisors is trying to tax us off our property. We live on fixed income pretty much. In fact, I did get a 2.5% raise this year, but it cost me $1 to take it from Medicare. That's how the money runs in the county. Now, I think a lot of money is wrongly spent in the county, and if it was not wrongly spent, we wouldn't have such a deficit. For instance, I understand $5 million was spent for a dog hotel. The building was already there, so what was spent for $5 million? That money should have gone somewhere else. We didn't need that thing. Some of my property taxes was reassessed 33% above what it was. And then at the last meeting, they said 5%, 5.5%, something, 33%, 15, 20% on some of the others. It does appear to me that we've been trying to be taxed off our properties. So you can build another big mega park, I guess, like Berry Hill. It's a big 4,000 acre nothing over there. As far as I can tell, every time I go through, it's nothing happening. We've got to get some money coming in from what the county already has spent our money on before any more money is spent, as far as I'm concerned. Because right now, at this point, I am really going to question where I vote the next time we come up, and I vote every time, and I hope my vote counts. But the county really needs to look at where the money is spent. Don't keep trying to get it from us, because it's about, what, less than 50% of the county people supporting the county. Get some money from these other people, like that 30-some% that voted for that big school bond. I didn't vote for it. I don't have any kids in school. I got to pay for it. You can turn that light off. It's blinding me. But I've had that 5-minute talk in Richmond before. But really, you need to seriously look at no tax increase. Look at where the money is being spent. Take all those county cars away from the people that's driving them home. They don't need to. I worked at the city for a number of years. I drove my car to the city. Then I picked up a city vehicle. That's the way this county should operate. Keep those cars in the parking lot when it's time to go home. The people that's driving those cars home can file for tax allowance in the end of the year for their mileage. We shouldn't have to be paid that. They can get it from the federal government. Then I might have to pay $2 more time I get another increase. But every year, for the last 2 years, I've paid to get a increase from Medicare. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Remember, no more taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Next on the list is Mike Turner.
I spent 20 years in the military and I bulletized mine, so this will be quick and painful. The landowners are tired of carrying the burden for everybody else. Tax something everybody pays. Spread it out. Y'all need to sacrifice like y'all expect us to. No perks for 3 years. That's cars, cell phones, per diem, anything. Cut it. Cut your pay. 3 years. That would add a lot back to the coffers. Wouldn't mind being taxed so bad if things hadn't been mishandled in the first place. We shouldn't be where we are right now. I mean, there's no checks and balances, it don't seem like, because of what's happened. No more purchases without public input, such as the Dogma Hall that's over there. No more large developments until our current investment starts paying off. Barry Hill being prime example. Find more cuts, don't keep hitting the landowners. Fire the current land assessors. Please fire the current land assessors. My taxes on my land went up 28%, not 5%. Yeah, we don't want them anymore. Suspend new assessments for 2 cycles. Stop padding pockets at our expense and practice the 7 Ps. I got to remember myself now, I'm a little nervous. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Learn it, live it, love it. And I would suggest every board of the member reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because it is a very good book. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Mr. Willie Fitzgerald.
Good evening. My name is Willie Fitzgerald, president of the NAACP here in Pennsylvania County, and I represent a lot of citizens from around this county, and we have a drafted proposal that we would like for the Board of Supervisors to consider with this budget. Just to be clear, sometimes my words don't come out as clear as I would like for them to do, so I will ask our branch secretary to come forward this time and read our proposal. And this is representing the group, so it may run over 3 minutes or whatever.
Good evening to the Honorable Chairman Robert Warren and the other board members. I am speaking tonight on behalf of the Pittsylvania County branch of the NAACP and other concerned citizens. We do support the budget and their initiatives. We applaud you all for taking on what should have been taken on years ago. However, the issue is the way that it is being handled. We read and heard about the schools being a part of the reason having the raise on the tax rate, which may be true, but when the school bond referendum was proposed and voted on, there was a method approved by the voters on a funding mechanism to do this. Excuse me. The referendum passed with over 70% of the voters, which included farmers, senior citizens, and the working citizens of the county. The problem being is that this board did not do what they said they would do. So that brings me to the point that at that time, the tax rate for citizens in 2007 was 0.50%. It has gone up to the percent rate of 0.59% over the years. In 2007, there was a land use rate of $435 per acre, which has remained the same rate throughout the years. We have had to bear constant tax rates for over 50% of the land in this county is still at the same rate of $435 per acre. Keep in mind that these farmers also voted for the school referendum, and they too have children that attend our public school system. It is my understanding that you cannot raise their property assessment at this time, but we are requesting that you would take it into consideration when you can do it, and to do it at the appropriate time. We would ask that you would raise the tax rate on the income that could be coming in at the same percentage, and to make it an annual budget process as well. Why should retired senior citizens on fixed incomes continue to have to bear the brunt of the county's taxes while other citizens in the county are exempt from raising their tax rate? Keep in mind that our gas rate, grocery bill, medical insurance is constantly going up. and we have not had an increase in our Social Security for years. When it is increased, the insurance would go up to absorb the increase. Therefore, we are requesting that you would consider retired citizens and would ask you to allow the farmer and land use program to be considered for this proposed budget. In reference to the animal shelter, the farmers are also benefiting from the animal shelter just as well as other citizens of this county. We would ask that you be fair to all citizens of the county and just not to a small portion. Thank you, Willie T. Fitzgerald, President, Pittsylvania County Branch, NAACP.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. LaVon Bowman,
That was her.
okay, we're with him, all right. Mary Catherine Plaster.
Good evening. I think you all are in a terrible position, but I think Pennsylvanians are in a terrible position too. I'm living in the house I grew up in, and this year my tax increase was over 39%. It has gone up every year with reassessment. The gentleman I talked to when I went to the hearing, the reassessor this year, I said, don't go back there and tell me how much money you made when you sold your father-in-law's house in Roanoke. And he said, I thought you looked familiar. My house is over 100 years old. I've got paint that's peeling. I have some gutters on the ground. Gentlemen, it's hard for me to even find anybody who will look at my roof or stop to do repair. Yet I am told that the value of the building, when it was built, makes it so valuable. This is ridiculous. I am among those who are retired, and there are many of us. And I look at the board, and I think there are at least 4 of you all up there who not only represent Pennsylvanians, you represent the residents of towns. We want to pay the extra taxes to the towns. It helps their income when your assessment comes up. But I noticed in the narrative that we were given from your nice explanation of the county, that we're talking about a 4-year time frame. When do we have to, by law, be reassessed again? 3 years. It makes me be very to have a lack of trust, because I do believe in civic responsibility. I do try very hard to contribute, and I do think economic development is important. I think all of the things you do are important. And I've signed up to talk twice tonight, so I'm going to shut up now that I'm on the yellow light bulb. But is there anything, when you accept the reassessment, do you have any opportunities to say to them, this is strictly too much? You said that it was a 6% average. Who went down 40% if I went up 40%? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Plaster. Next is Mr. Corey Harville.
Good evening, gentlemen. Corey Harville, Westover District. I come to you saying it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen with a reassessment with the 3 or 4 cent on a reassessment and you're talking about 11 cents. We need to be reasonable. Well, you guys need to be reasonable. And not come up with 11 cents and just sit down at the table and throw it out there. Well, we got 11 cents plus reassessment. The thing of it is, these elderly people, they really get tore up. And it's hard for them to really get settled back down after seeing all this tax increase. They work all their lives, and then they have this thrown on them, and it really upsets them. I want to give you a couple examples of my property. I had one tract that went up 68%. 68%. Ridiculous. This Harold Wingate, Johnson with them, they need to be thrown out of this county. I talked to Mr. Smitherman, and he says he's gonna try to take care of this, providing the board can start getting their own real estate people and get their own board started. It's time it was phasing in and let the local people. Now, the assessment board, I appealed it, the assessment board come over here, and don't you know, on one tract that went up 68%, not now one of the assessment board members had any clue why they went up 68%. They didn't have no clue. Now, tell me I'm having a fair hearing. And, I want to talk to Mr. Smitherman and Mr. Hunt about this, because I'm talking to Danny Marshall and attorney in Roanoke. And something's got to be done. Then I had 0.63 of an acre, and it went from $600 to $2,800. And the assessment board, they had a van, and I took them down the road, and they couldn't go but just a little ways. And what happened, it's mud down there. You can't get all the way to my property. Well, I put them in my Jeep and took 3 of them down there, the rest of them sat in the van. They didn't pay no attention to me, and if I was buying a mistake. But anyway, I want to make one more, that's enough of that. One more thing, Dr. Fawcett, and where y'all had that retreat that the Regional Foundation paid for, I just want to quote something here. I mean, what are we call ourselves doing? Pennsylvania County Supervisor, we've got council in budget debt. And it says, I'm going to be quite candid, Davis said. We've got council. Then after that, if we got counsel, I want to know about it. He's already stated we got counsel. And then if we have, he wants to know about it. I got counsel and I know about it. And a lot more citizens have. Thank you. I'll bring back more to you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Kathy Hodges.
Good evening. I want to thank you for listening to us tonight. I have my comments prepared. I'm going to roll on through since there's a time limit, but hopefully they will be addressed. At the public hearing in Gretna, I asked if there were any intended uses or goals for the armory that was purchased by the county. I was told no, and that it cost us only $1. Since this administration has touted transparency, I was quite shocked to find out that 3 days before that public hearing, an article was published in the Danville paper outlining 4 groups who had applied to use the building: Parks and Rec, Public Safety, a private group, and possibly an alternative school. I did not see that article in the paper, but I would have thought it would have been pointed out to me that night. As a follow-up question concerning the armory, how much money is being allocated in the budget to renovate the armory for whatever purposes are decided upon? Also, will we apply for any grants to offset these costs? Speaking of grants, I've asked at 2 public hearings now how much grant money has been brought into the county by the grant writer. Can you answer that question tonight, especially since grants could have offset a lot of the costs for the pet shelter and relieved some of the tax burden for the citizens? I'm a supporter of the pet shelter. I'm glad we have it, but I think we went about it wrong when we wrote a check for it instead of applying for grant money for it. How much more progress has been made in collecting the $2 million in delinquent taxes due to the county? Are payment plans set up to allow people to repay these taxes? How many properties have been sold in 2018 to pay the taxes due on them, or how many people have been set up on payment plans to pay these taxes? With the dire straits of this budget, will you please prohibit non-emergency personnel from driving county vehicles home? This luxury, and it is a luxury, needs to go. I drive my personal vehicle to my job every day. And if I need a Franklin County vehicle to drive for a meeting, then I check one out and I bring it back at the end of the day. Also, why isn't the HVAC contractor being held responsible for the unnecessary medical costs for the pets since the ventilation system was improperly installed? What efforts are being made to reduce the horrendous health insurance premiums that school employees are having to pay? Do we seek bids on these annually, as should be done? Are the county and school employees under the same plan? And this could potentially be a savings. Gone are the days when people could leave their place of work to run a fire rescue call. We should not penalize those necessary volunteer squads by requiring certain numbers of calls, rather than using a ratio of hours that volunteers are available versus 24/7 as a paid squad would have. The greater concern is the response time, whether it has to be a contracted entity during the hours that volunteer squads are shorthanded, or whether it's the time that volunteers can take calls. I do not have enough words to display the great deal of respect I have for volunteer fire and rescue squads. If the commission is created, it should be equitably represented by volunteer squads. I noticed in the County Connections report the week of April 4th, there's still intention to open the gate for paying customers for trash.
I'm gonna have to stop doing this, and we'll get you on the next.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next what, tonight or another night?
Well, you're up on the rest of them, so we'll
Okay.
let you.
I'll mark my spot.
Okay. We're down to public hearing for proposed personal property tax increase, and the first person signed tonight is Mr. Jeffrey Reynolds.
Good evening, gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank you for the 8 town halls and the effort that was put into educating the citizens on the budget situation. You all have inherited a mess, no doubt about that. And obviously, there's going to need to be an increase in revenues. How you go about that is going to be a difficult decision. The reason I decided to share my comments as far as the personal property taxes is I am in support of increasing that rate and the, I think it's the decal rate or registration rate to the maximum amount. That is as fair way to raise revenue as there probably is in the county, with the limitations that the state puts on a county for raising revenue. There's lots of folks who own personal property who own no real estate. I was sitting up here, I own both real estate and personal property, so increases in both will affect me. But gentlemen, if we're going to move this county forward, it's going to be some hard decisions that have to be made. And I know very many people are on limited budgets. I understand the problems with the reassessment, and I certainly hope that you will address those in the future. But we have some very pressing needs. Fire and rescue is 25 years behind in funding. Pennsylvania County schools are your best economic development tool. I work at the Career Technical Center in full transparency, and I see the potential economic partners that come in and tour that school on almost a bi-weekly or at least a monthly basis. And having a strong school system is necessary to bring these folks in to relieve all of us of the personal and real estate property tax burdens in the future. So I would encourage you to do all you can to support the schools, support fire and rescue, but share the burden not only with the landowners, those who own real estate, but also, again, as I stated, increase the personal property tax, the decal tax, to help raise the amount of money that you see fit to generate in this upcoming fiscal budget. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I really appreciate the effort that went into the town halls and the amount of information. I think we've had as much transparency and information shared this year in the budget process that I can never remember in my lifetime. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Next for personal property tax is Ms. Kathy Hodges.
I I didn't break mine out into categories, so I'm just going to take it where I left off. I noticed in the County Connections report for the week of April 4th that there's still every intention to open the gate for cash-paying customers by bringing in trash from other localities. What about the environmental impact of appliances, televisions, computer monitors, those things that can be detrimental and fill up a landfill quickly? So we need you to listen to us, please, at these public hearings. I want to go on record by stating that I am adamantly opposed to bringing in trash from other localities, especially considering the fact that it can take in excess of $5 million to close a landfill sale. Has there been any talk of recycling some of this trash, just as they do in North Carolina? Quality of life should be a factor. Do we really want to be the dumping ground for other localities? We've spent millions on the Berry Hill project with zero return for anyone. The location of this park will never benefit anyone from the central and northern ends of the county. We need to strategically place industrial parks and sites where all citizens can benefit from working there. My challenge to each of you is to get in your personal vehicle and drive from Grit, Hurt, Motley, or even Gretna to the Berry Hill site, and tell me then if you'd be willing to drive that far in your personal vehicle to work every day. My requests are: keep the real estate tax rate at 59 cents, since it will generate another $1.5 million in revenue. Reinstate the waste fee. Every person has to pay this. That way the entire burden should not be on real estate owners. Set up payment plans or sell property to collect the $2 million in delinquent taxes. Impose a freeze on county and school employees who make $75,000 or more until custodians, teacher assistants, bus drivers, and teacher salaries are brought into competition with other localities in the region. Put a freeze on hiring any new county employees for this fiscal year. Put the 8 resource officers back on the road where they're needed and train school staff who volunteer to have a concealed carry weapon. Increase the personal property tax from $8.75 to $9. This will generate another $886,000, no more than that. Stop buying more property until we pay off this debt. And if you didn't get that, stop buying more property until we pay off this debt. And don't waste another penny on the Berry Hill project, please. Let Danville pay for their part. And my mother-in-law is an elderly person, 89 years old, on a limited income. She cannot afford any more on this real estate tax than what she's going to have to pay this time with the reassessment. Please think about the elderly citizens. She draws, I think, just a little under $1,100 a month. And that's not a lot to live on once you pay your utilities and buy groceries and such. So please, think about the citizens in this county who have invested their lives here and are on limited incomes. Please, listen to us, hear what we're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges. We will close the public hearing portion for personal property at 7:29, and we will open the proposed Pittsylvania County school budget at 7:29. First person up is Reverend Joan Tarpley Robinson.
Don't cut the green light on until I get over here, okay?
We won't.
Good evening to members of the Board of Supervisors and to the citizens here. I'm appreciative to have this opportunity to speak before you this evening. I came on behalf of the NAACP. I am the education chairperson for that organization. I am a retired educator, a citizen of Pittsylvania County, and I'm from the Bannister District. I am a landowner, and I'm very thankful to be a product of the Pittsylvania County Schools. I stand before you tonight to say to you that I'm very appreciative and supportive of what you have given on the budget in support of our schools. It is extremely important that we work diligently to maintain good quality schools. If our children are not educated to meet this future that we are faced with, then we will be here crying in the future, trying to just keep this county going. So whatever we can do for our schools is a great plus. I believe that we are very happy to say that we have accredited schools. It has been a lot of hard work, a lot of effort put into accredited schools. I wish more could be done for faculty, staff, as well as all that have helped our students. The next thing is school safety. We're living in a time now that it troubles my heart, my mind. I pray for schools, but it's very frightening to me to think as a little child, if I was in the school, to be concerned about my safety. Who is going to enter the door? What would they have? What's going to go on? That is so frightening. So whatever we can do to make schools safer for our students. I do believe in trained personnel. I do believe, I'm very honored. I support military personnel, your sheriff department. I believe in trained personnel. I'm happy to be a retired educator. I didn't go to school, never thought about, never had the desire to want to have a gun on my hip in the classroom. I love the Western. I like to look at them on TV, but I don't care for the bang bang OK Corral. So, but I would like to see safety in the school, secured personnel. Then finally, good quality schools is a must. That's a must for us. And I appreciate what you've done for the school budget. Don't tell anybody on Facebook that I told you to raise taxes or I support taxes. I'm just saying I support the school budget. I'm thankful that you have added to the school budget, and I wish there was more that we could do. God bless you and continue to do well. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Carter.
Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Kathy Hodges.
I'll finish my comments, it's okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges. We will close the public hearing portion for the school budget at 7:32, and we will open the proposed Pennsylvania County budget FY 2018-2019 public hearing at 7:33. And first to sign up is Ms. Mary Catherine Plaster.
Thank you. The reason I'm back is to compliment the information you've given us. And it's always been a disappointment that our Pennsylvania County schools, our rural schools in the state of Virginia, have not had as much funding because we didn't have as much growth. But I want to know if you, as a representative of everyone in this county, realizes that Pennsylvania County is rock bottom on getting any money from the farming community. No chicken, a penny a chicken is when they're sold or in some budgets. Sheep, cows, pigs, they all have different amounts of money. That's not true here. We have farmers' vehicles. A carpenter is paying taxes, I think, on his hammer, but a farmer in Pennsylvania County doesn't have to pay it on his tractor. I'm not trying to single them out, but I think they should be looked at as the same level of fair taxation. My grandfather, my father, my husband were merchants. My stepfather, I worked in stores, I've worked in Pennsylvania County schools, and I've been fortunate enough to have some work in government. It's not an easy job, but your responsibility is to everyone. It's not to one organization or one town or one age group. We are obligated to educate our children and hopefully can keep them here. But this idea of economic development in our world has gotten ridiculous. We have the largest land available in the Commonwealth of Virginia and Berry Hill. But I don't see anybody in any section of Virginia running over and building buildings anymore. We read it in the paper. We're disappointed they didn't come. They were going to bring 30 jobs. I think we've got to deal with reality, and everybody should be treated fairly when you expect us to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Plaster. Next up is Mr. Corey Harville.
All right, I want to shift gears a little bit. Some of the citizens may not agree with this, but I think the Berry Hill Mega Park is the best thing this Pennsylvania County has ever got. It's going to take time to develop it, but you look how many millions of dollars the Tobacco Commission has put into that park. And they put in a little over $6 million just grading a pad up there. It is ready. They had a prospect in last week. I'll probably know more about some of these things than you supervisors do, than what's going on. But anyway, the question I got here, you know, we had $34 million, this is in 2014. And then there was 19 million money left, cash money to spend. Well, anyway, it's all gone now but 3 million. You know, I want to know where it went. I know where a lot of it went. You know, one county administrator, you know, he left and he's gone. This was going to be his last retirement here, and he's got another job now, and he got 6 months' pay. Didn't work a day. A lot of these things the public don't know, but it's time some of this comes to fruition here and be brought out. And another thing, how are we going to get jobs when people pick up the paper? A guy told me last week, you know, that came here, and I know a lot of them in Richmond. You know, when you pick up a paper and see Pittsylvania County says we got cancer, what does that tell an industry? Or even down another article in there that says, while I couldn't get them to pull the trigger on the investigation. What do y'all think about this? What signal do you get when you said, a supervisor said about pulling the trigger? You're talking about pulling the trigger, you're talking about a gun. It's the only thing I know of. But statements like this hurts our county. We got one of the best counties in this Commonwealth. And if we're not careful, we're gonna be on the bottom. And just like this debt, you know, these school bonds, it was voted down 3 times. And you can find a lot of people said they didn't vote for it, they got it. I supported that. And the thing about it, you know, these school bonds, they were refinanced and saved millions of dollars because we had a recession, the economy dropped, and the board then, you know, you can't kick all this stuff on the past when you had 34 million and now you don't have a 3. So, you know, I can point the finger the other way, and I think I'm going to start coming back to the board meeting. I'll bring about 3 or 4 people with me, and I'll get me maybe 12, 15 minutes I can talk. So I'll throw some more news on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harwell. Ms. Hodges, are you?
No,
I just wanted to repeat some of my solutions, and I want to challenge you too, Mr. Carver. You get in your car and drive from Grit or Hurt or Motley to the Berry Hill Park, and you tell me if you'd be willing to drive that far every day. All right, keep the real estate tax please at 59 cents, since it'll generate another 1.5 million in revenue. Reinstate the waste fee, because that helps everybody to pay something towards the tax base. Set up payment plans and collect this delinquent tax money that's out there, or either sell the property, whatever it has to be. Freeze those salaries that are $75,000 or more until we can bring the other school employees in line with other localities in the region. And put a freeze on hiring any new county employees for this fiscal year. And again, I'm in very much support of putting those 8 resource officers back on the road, trained staff in schools who volunteer. And the threat alone of thinking somebody on every wing could potentially have a gun to protect that wing of children, that alone would help, I think, deter a lot of people who might want to do harm otherwise, because they don't know where they could be. It could be a custodian, it could be an assistant principal, it could be anybody. One person in one large building can't do a lot to protect a lot of kids in a short amount of time. Increase the personal property tax from $8.75 to $9. This will generate another $886,000. Please don't go any more than the $9. Because as I said, my 89-year-old mother-in-law, as well as a lot of us, I've got 2 kids in college, we can't afford a whole lot more tax burden. And I've been in this county all my life. I love this county. But if we don't handle this debt properly, it may be to the point that I will sell my house and leave this county. And I don't want to. It's my home. I've been here all my life. Please listen to us. Please work with us as taxpayers. We need your support. I know you have a huge burden in front of you, and I know it's a lot of hard decisions to make. But please listen to the people who elected you and put you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges. I will close the public hearing for the 18-19 proposed Pittsylvania County budget at 7:41. The only thing else I will say is thank you from the board to each and every one of you all for coming out tonight. Your opinions and your voice does matter to us. And I also want to take this opportunity to publicly thank staff for taking it out on the road this year and having the town halls. It was very valuable to me, and I want to compliment the board tonight too, because I think to the member, everybody attended multiple meetings. They weren't just concerned about their district, they were concerned about countywide. Yes, we represent our districts, but whatever we can do to better the county as a whole, we certainly want to do. So I want to thank the staff, and as chairman, I want to thank the board for all of their interest. And, you know, we have heard you. We do have some tough decisions to make, but we will do the absolute best job we can. And would ask that you keep us in your thoughts and prayers as we make those. So, with no other business to come before us tonight, we declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.